Good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, today, the service members of the United States European Command pay special tribute as we observe a change of command ceremony in which the reins of responsibility pass from General Christopher G. Cavoli to General Alexis G. Grinkovich. The Secretary of Defense has delegated the presiding officer duties of the United States European Command Change of Command to the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane. Additionally, the Chairman has deferred his honors to General Christopher G. Cavoli. We would like to extend a sincere welcome to the special guests in attendance with us today. Please hold your applause until all guests have been introduced. Mrs. Christine Cavoli, spouse of the outgoing combatant commander, United States European Command. Mrs. Shannon Grinkovich, spouse of the incoming combatant commander, United States European Command. Mr. Justin Grinkovich, son of the incoming combatant commander, United States European Command. Ms. Linda Grinkovich, mother of the incoming combatant commander, United States European Command. Distinguished visitors attending today are Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Interior, Minister Tomas Strobel, Foreign Policy Advisor to the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Ambassador Laura Dou, Senior Enlisted Advisor to the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, SEAC David Isom, Combatant Commander, United States Africa Command, General Michael Langley, Command Senior Enlisted Leader, United States Africa Command, Sergeant Major Michael Wood, Commander, Allied Joint Force Command Brunsum, General Ingo Gerhards, Commanding General, United States Army Europe and Africa, and Commander of Allied Land Command, General Christopher Donahue. Commander, United States Naval Forces Europe and Africa, and Commander, Allied Joint Forces Command Naples, Admiral Stuart Munch. Deputy Commander, United States European Command, Lieutenant General Robert Fulford, and his spouse, Mrs. Amy Fulford. Foreign Policy Advisor and Civilian Deputy to the Commander, Ambassador Kate Burns, and her spouse, Scott. Command Senior Enlisted Leader, United States European Command, Command Sergeant Major T.J. Holland, and his spouse, Mrs. Annette Holland. Deputy to the Commander for Civil Military Engagement, United States Africa Command, Ambassador Robert Scott. Consul General for France, Consul General Gaël de Maisonneuve. Consul General for Italy, Consul General Laura Lamia. Lastly, a special welcome to all general and flag officers, both active and retired, members of the Senior Executive Service, commanders, directors, host nation community partners, and members of the United States European Command. Thank you for being here to share with us in this special occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party and the rendering of honors. A 17-gun salute will be conducted during the playing of ruffles and flourishes and the General's March in honor of the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Please remain standing for the presentation of the colors, the singing of the national anthems, and the invocation.
Recht und Freiheit für das deutsche Vaterland. Danach lasst uns alle streben, brüderlich mit Herz und Hand. Einigkeit und Recht und Freiheit sind des Glückes Unterpfand. Blüh im Glanze dieses Glückes, blühe deutsches Vaterland. Blüh im Glanze dieses Glückes, blühe deutsches Vaterland. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Order! Colors reversed. March!
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, Chaplain Che will deliver the invocation.
I invite all who are willing to join me in prayer. Almighty God, I give you thanks for this day and ask for your presence at this momentous event. We recognize, as an ancient wise king once wrote, that there is a time for everything, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to uproot. And similarly, a time to take command and a time to relinquish command. I give you thanks for General Christopher Cavoli and for his faithful and steadfast leadership of U.S. European Command, as well as his over 38 years of service to our nation and to the United States Army. I pray your blessing over General Cavoli and his family as they move on to the next chapter of their life of service. And today, as General Alexis Grinkovich takes command at this highly consequential time, I pray that you will fill him with unparalleled wisdom, moral courage, and unwavering strength. May his gifts and talents, as well as his deep care for our service members, inspire us all to further fortify Euro-Atlantic security and build even stronger relationships and friendships with our allies and our partners. May we, Lord, always seek to do what is good, to act justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly as we defend freedom and our alliance. And as always, I ask that you surround our families and loved ones with your love and grace. For I pray all this in your most holy name. Amen.
Thank you very much, Chaplain Che. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. At this time, Lieutenant Colonel Justin Rathbun, Headquarters, United States European Command, will present a bouquet of red flowers to Mrs. Cavoli as an expression of gratitude for her commitment and dedicated service to the United States European Command. And Lieutenant Colonel Jacob Barker. Lieutenant Colonel Jacob Barker, Headquarters, United States European Command, is presenting a bouquet of yellow flowers to Mrs. Grinkovich, signifying the trust and friendship that will develop as she becomes an integral member of the United States European Command. Mrs. Cavoli, will you please join us center stage? At this time, General Kane, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, will come forward to present Mrs. Cavoli with the Outstanding Public Service Award. Please remain seated during the award presentation. The citation reads, "The Outstanding Public Service Award is awarded to Mrs. Christine Cavoli for distinguished public service in recognition of extraordinary contributions to the soldiers, civilians, and families of the communities of Supreme Headquarters, Allied Powers Europe, and United States European Command from July 2022 to July 2025. Mrs. Cavoli was a visible and a unifying presence in the SHAPE international community, fostering goodwill, morale, and cohesion across 32 NATO nations. Through her active participation in the SHAPE Community Spouses Club, SHAPE International Women's Club, AWAG, the Coffee Conversation Group, and Stuttgart schools, she built resilient networks of support and connection for military families. Her critical role in 30 high-level engagements, including receptions for U.S. and foreign generals, ambassadors, and heads of state, set the tone for enduring partnerships between NATO allies and partners. Her grace, generosity, and strategic influence as a host enabled productive diplomacy and increased mutual understanding across the alliance. The distinctive accomplishments of Mrs. Christine Cavoli reflect great credit upon herself, the Supreme Headquarters, Allied Powers Europe, the United States European Command, and the Department of Defense. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, it is my pleasure to introduce the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane.
Hopefully all can hear me and this mic doesn't get in the way too much. It's an incredible, humbling honor for me to be here today. I leg wrestled the secretary for the chance to come out here, and obviously I won, so I'm excited to be here. And it's a historic day for U.S. European Command. I'm deeply grateful for so many great friends and guests here. I see a lot of friends in the audience, General Langley, General Donahue, Admiral Munch. Thank you all for joining us today. I want to especially welcome those leaders from our allies and partner nations, General Ingo Gerhardt and Minister Strobel. Thank you for being here. Thanks for our enlisted senior leaders who are here today, our brand new SEAC, SEAC 6, SEAC ISOM Command, Sergeant Major Holland, Sergeant Major Wood, and finally, most importantly, the family of General Cavoli and General Grinkovich. It's an honor to celebrate you both today alongside the men and women of U.S. European Command. Today is really more than anything about gratitude. Gratitude for the decades of service that General Cavoli and his family have given to this nation, and gratitude for General Grinkovich and his family for their service and sacrifice to take on this new and important role. And gratitude for the amazing service members that make up EUCOM, that are always there, always on the account, always standing the watch, and always demonstrating courage and unwavering commitment to the defense of our nation and the alliance along with our ideals. 75 years ago, on December 19th, 1950, General Dwight Eisenhower assumed command as NATO's first Supreme Allied Commander, with the mission to help Europe recover and rearm following World War II. After that treaty was signed, Eisenhower activated SHAPE and formed a multinational staff and began building a collective deterrent grounded in European strength and security. And the dual-hatted nature of the SACEUR position was born, commanding NATO while overseeing all U.S. military operations in Europe to drive better integration, both between the U.S. air, land, and sea forces here in Europe, but critically also with our allies and partners. Integration was a key objective that General Eisenhower set, and who correctly predicted, quote, separate ground, sea, and air warfare is gone forever, unquote. He asserted that in any future wars, it was only, quote, with the services as one single concentrated effort will we be successful. Eisenhower also understood the importance of integrating before a crisis kicks off, so that the U.S. and our closest allies and partners would know each other before that, fight together as one in a cohesive fighting force. Eisenhower's expectations in 1950 were clear. Europe's got to take ownership of its own defense, and they do that today as we're called to a similar moment. This past month is a great reminder that global risk is on the rise. The world can shift in a matter of hours, and that's why we prepare. That's why we train and operate together as an integrated joint force, armed, integrated at every echelon, and lethal, and our job is to be ready when and if our nation calls, to respond and to be able to dominate and crush our enemies on the battlefields of the future and come home to our families while protecting the essential ideals that make America great. The last 2 weeks have shown the world that we're the most capable, most integrated fighting force, and we've got more global reach and unmatched capabilities than any other military on the planet. Our strength is also in our alliances. The historic commitment that our NATO allies have made are an example of that. The desk that General Eisenhower used is up at SHAPE, marked by the decisions taken in the wake of the Second World War. It still sits in General Cavoli's office, and it's passed from one commander to the next, along with its motto here in the command, vigilance is the price of liberty. It also comes with the weightiness of that desk and the responsibility of that desk and the responsibility of leading this command and leading the alliance. Peace, my friends, is not preserved by sentiment, but by vigilance, by strength, and by shared sacrifice. And 75 years later, that charge still echoes in the hallways of these great commands. Both General Cavoli and General Grinkovich are leaders who understand this charge to keep, and have spent their lives preserving liberty through vigilance. Today, we say farewell to an incredible human and his family who've served and sacrificed this nation for almost 4 decades. The story of General Chris Cavoli is as much a European story as an American one. I grin just thinking about it. His father, Ivo, an immigrant from the far north of Italy who moved to America to become an officer in the United States Army. He spent 32 years as an Army Air Defense artillery officer an organization and a tribe who's gotten a lot of attention lately, and I'm sure your dad is very proud, and retired as an Army colonel. His mother, Rita, was born in the U.S., but from the very same region in Italy that his dad was born in. Chris, please pass along my thanks and the thanks of the Secretary and the President to your father and mother for their decades of service. Sorry, buddy, I'm kicking you off the thing there. And they both live now in Florida, and I know they're incredibly proud of all that you've accomplished in your career. Chris grew up in DoD schools throughout Europe, graduating from Vicenza High School, where his father was the garrison commander. He then went on to a great school, took his first oath of office in Nassau Hall at Princeton 38 years ago, and joined the family business alongside his two brothers who also joined the Army. As a young lieutenant, Chris found his way back to Vicenza and developed another special relationship with a follow-on garrison commander. That garrison commander, Colonel DeLacy, had an incredibly beautiful daughter, Christina. Bold, my friend, very bold to date the garrison commander's daughter as a lieutenant. And there, these two young kids fell in love, got married, and for the past 33 years have served together. And Christina, you've dedicated your life to our nation as well, selflessly supporting soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Guardians, and Coast Guardsmen in Europe and across the United States, while maintaining your own career as an educator, writer, and researcher, and currently serves as an English professor at the University of Maryland Teaching College here in Germany, and doing all the things to help grow the next generation of leaders. They've got two sons, Alexander and Nicholas, who grew up in the same schools that Chris attended across Europe. And they're both thriving young leaders. Alex, a green energy entrepreneur in Salt Lake City, and Nick, an environmental consultant in California. Christina, thank you for the love and support that you've poured into Chris and the entire Joint Force, into your sons, and into our military families over the year. And thanks to Alex and Nick for their service as well. Please join me in a big round of applause for Christina. Chris has had a remarkable career commanding troops at every echelon. He's led our nation's sons and daughters in the crucible of war, including a 16-month tour leading an infantry battalion through extremely difficult combat operations in Afghanistan. Chris has been a true relationship entrepreneur. His deep roots in the European military communities, his ability to speak 4 languages, his dedication to leading at higher and higher levels through Europe made him the absolute perfect choice at an incredibly difficult and dynamic time to serve as the EUCOM commander and the Supreme Allied Commander of Europe. And similar to General Eisenhower, Chris put those relationships to work during a major armed conflict here on the continent. Chris, you led EUCOM and NATO at an absolutely critical juncture, building a coalition of over 50 nations to help Ukraine defend itself, while strengthening all the relationships across the alliance. I've heard over and over and over and over again the love and respect that all of our NATO allies have for you and your family. Your career, my friend, stands as a testament to the power of the American experiment. From growing up as a son of immigrants, to your parents serving, to you taking the road less traveled and serving yourself. It's your ability to blend your love of nation, your love of history, your love of Europe together to do the things that I frankly think only you could do has made this tour so successful for you. We would not be here without you, and I'm just incredibly grateful for you. I know the Italian community is as well. They've currently given you the Fiore LaGuardia Medal for your outstanding service as an Italian, and I'm told that everywhere he goes, he's actually asked for his autograph, and I've actually seen that happen before up in Brussels. But for me, and for a lot of those of us like me, one of the most impressive accomplishments that I didn't know is, dude, you never worked at the Pentagon as a general officer? I mean, that alone gives a round of applause. In all seriousness, you took your experience and you put it all on the table, my friend, for all 38 years. You've poured more into Europe than we could ever know. And I know you'll continue to do that in the next chapter. Both the United States and Europe are lucky that you fell in love with the Army 38 years ago and your wife just a few years after that. And of course, we're incredibly grateful for you. Congrats to you both on your graduation from service. I don't use the word retired, although it's awesome. I know this personally. You're gonna enjoy this next chapter, and it's gonna be awesome. So a big round of applause for General Cavoli. Just a few minutes ago, I had the pleasure and honor of promoting the Joint Forces' newest four-star, General Alexis Grinkovich. Grinch is joined today by his wife, Shannon, their son, Justin, somebody I've heard a lot about. Shannon, an attorney, has served alongside Grinch for 27 years, spending a great deal of her time and effort helping out with the USO and also crushing pickleball. So I'm looking forward to hearing all about that. But we know that you're incredibly proud of your son, Justin, who joins us on a European tour already. And thank you both for your incredible service, both in the past and your service that you'll do in the future. Grinch's mother, Linda, is here today. Linda worked 2, sometimes 3 jobs to allow Grinch to go to the schools that he went to as a young man growing up. You set him up, ma'am, where he is today. You poured so much love into your son. And Grinch, I know your dad, Greg, is up in heaven watching you today. When I texted you this morning, I was thinking about how proud your dad is right now and how great of an example you lead for those of us that follow you. I know your dad had a lot to do with that. I wish he was here. Grinch has got some additional family here today. His sister and brother-in-law, his mother-in-law is here. It's great to see you, ma'am, and many other members of his family. Grinch was inspired by 2 men to take his path in service. One was his grandfather, Joseph, who was an Army engineer in the Pacific Theater during World War II, and another was his uncle, Nick, who served as an F-4 Phantom fighter pilot in the Air Force in Vietnam. Finally, Grinch joined the Air Force because he had a mentor who taught him what service really means. Army Lieutenant Colonel Kurt Landers, who's over here in the front row. Kurt poured a lot into Grinch, and one of the great pieces of advice he gave to Grinch was, flying is great, just don't do it in the Army. So, and as a career Army aviator, Grinch gets it, so thank you for that. Grinch went to the Air Force Academy, graduated, and started to fly the world's greatest single-engine fighter, the F-16. That's where Grinch and I got to know each other a long time ago. The good news is we both look exactly the same now as we did then. But most recently, he served as the Joint Staff J3, where, man, I cannot tell you how much gratitude I have for helping me get neutrally buoyant as the chairman. He is frosty under pressure. He is prepared for this job. He is the right leader who's humble, credible, and approachable to follow a great leader in front of him, General Cavoli. And I'm confident that as the commander of U.S. European Command and the Supreme Allied Commander Europe, you will join a great legacy of names that include Eisenhower and Cavoli. You're going to do great, and I encourage all of us as we move now to this most important chapter to remember those right now that are deployed doing our nation's business, who could not be here today because they are out there getting after it on behalf of all of us. And one of the things I always want to do is remember our fallen who've made the ultimate sacrifice and their families who continue to do so. Chris and Christina, thank you very much for all that you've done. Grinch and Shannon, good luck in all that you will do, and thanks a lot. And now, are you guys ready to do this? All right, let's do this. Thanks, everybody.
At this time, General Kane will present General Cavoli with the Defense Distinguished Service Medal and a farewell gift on behalf of both the Secretary of Defense and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Please stand for the presentation of the award and remain standing for the presentation of the gift. Attention to orders. The President of the United States has awarded the Defense Distinguished Service Medal to General Christopher G. Cavoli, United States Army, for service set forth in the following. The citation reads, General Christopher G. Cavoli, United States Army, distinguished himself by exceptionally meritorious service in a duty of great responsibility as Commander, United States European Command, and Supreme Allied Commander Europe from July 2022 to July 2025. During this period, General Cavoli led Allied command operations through its most extraordinary transformation since the end of the Cold War, and oversaw the execution of both European command and Allied operations to coordinate and oversee full-spectrum security assistance to the armed forces of Ukraine. He drove a focus on creating an efficient and capable warfighting headquarters at both European Command and Supreme Headquarters Allied Powers Europe. General Cavoli oversaw the development of Operational Plan 4160, which serves as the keystone plan for European command support to the alliance to defeat an incursion of Allied territory, and ensured closer integration with the North Atlantic Treaty Organization and Supreme Headquarters Allied Powers Europe. The distinctive accomplishments of General Cavoli culminated a long and distinguished career in the service of his country and reflect great credit upon himself, the United States Army, and the Department of Defense. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. At this time, Second Lieutenant Vega Ramos, United States Army Europe and Africa, will present General Cavoli with the final shell casing fired by the unit during his command. The casing serves to remind General Cavoli of his command tour and his service to our nation. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce the Commander, United States European Command, General Christopher G. Cavoli.
It's good that I speak before Grinch because the microphone is properly adjusted already. Chairman, General Kane, General Grinkovich, the entire Grinkovich family, what a pleasure to meet you all. Command Sergeant Major Holland, Command Sergeant Major Abernathy, civilian officials, Minister Strobel, generals, flag officers, General Langley, Admiral Munch, General Donahue, General Hines, too many generals to recognize, too many sergeants major to recognize, but I especially want to call out those critical people. General Fulford, our DCOM, Fleet ISM, are you still called Fleet at this level, or is it like Galaxy ISM or something? Thank you for being here. Ingo Gerhardt, thank you for coming. It means a great deal to me. General Gerhardt's commanded the German Air Force for 7 years, and now we are lucky to have him as the commander of JFC Brunsum, sitting next to our commander of JFC Naples. So thank you for raising that flag. To all of our commanders, G-Man, Rick Engel / Joe Locke, and the others, DB is in here someplace. Thank you for being here today. Thanks especially to our gracious German hosts for being here today. Thank you very much for the hospitality that you show to this command and to the families of this command. Thank you all for being here. Your presence sheds honor on a simple ceremony. It's a ceremony in which one officer passes a flag to another officer, creating both continuity and change in one moment. That is today for EUCOM. General Kane, thank you for coming all this way to preside over this ceremony. It means a great deal. Your leadership in the Department of Defense and across the Joint Force is vital for us in these complicated times that we face. We salute you. As I look out across the crowd, I see so many faces, so many colleagues, friends. I get a little choked up because I'm not just leaving EUCOM today, I'm also leaving the U.S. Armed Forces, where I have served for 38 years. Lord, Christina and I will miss this. General Kane was much more eloquent about my wife than I can be, because I will choke up if I go on too long. But for 33 years, you have been with me through thick and thin, through trouble and joy, unfortunately through injury and death. But the whole time, you have been there with me, and you have sustained me, and I love you. And I'm very much looking forward to doing something else with you as well. But as we look out over the crowd, it occurs to me that this day is not about me, not about Christina, it's about you. It's about you, the men and women of U.S. European Command. For 80 years, EUCOM has been on the front lines. From the days of occupation through the days of the Cold War to the fall of the Berlin Wall until today, 80 years, you have stood on the wall and guarded our nation. 80 years you have defended our homeland from another land. 80 years you have represented the very best our nation has had to offer, and you became the envy of the world. Our allies and our adversaries both stand in awe of you. You have faced down the Soviet war machine in Berlin in 1962. You demonstrated the height of military excellence and readiness in the 1980s. You defended Israel. You disarmed the former Warsaw Pact. You stood down murderous armies in the Balkans in the 1990s. You were the first on the ground in Iraq, and you brought the last people to safety out of Afghanistan. I have been privileged to watch some of this myself, and I, like our allies and like our adversaries, have stood in awe of you. How do you do it? Well, I guess I don't really know. There's your skill, certainly. There's your dedication, your creativity, your innovation, your never say die spirit. But I think the thing that drives you to these heights is that you are performing for our country and in front of others and with our allies. There's just no way that you would fail. No way. You know that the reputation and the prestige and the authority and the power of our nation and of this alliance, of our United States, depend on you getting it right every day, every time, everywhere. And so you do it over and over. They say that great teams in baseball are made by base hits, just base hits over and over. But here at EUCOM, for 80 years, you have been putting it over the left field fence over and over and over. I've had many, many privileges in my life. I've dined with kings. I've conferred with famous professors. I've heard the most beautiful music in the most beautiful cathedrals. But the one privilege I will always cherish, I will always remember, is the privilege I have had to stand in the ranks with you, with all of you at EUCOM. General Grinkovich, you are taking over a very fine outfit, an historic outfit, an outfit that for decades has served this nation better than we ever had a right to expect. You are the right officer to take it. You will lead this command into a future that will be far brighter than I ever had the wherewithal to see. And as you do that, our country will grow stronger and stronger. I wish you luck, my friend. Take good care of this treasure. So, ladies and gentlemen, Christina and I wave goodbye. We will close this book, and we will open another one and begin to write the pages of a new life. There will be a few teardrops on those pages, I guess. Please know that always, always, we will watch your future successes with hearts that burn with pride. So may God bless you all. May God bless our alliance. May God bless this command. And may God continue to bless our brilliant nation, the United States of America. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, General Cavoli. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the United States European Command's change of command. Attention to orders. By order of the President of the United States, General Christopher G. Cavoli relinquishes command of the United States European Command, and General Alexis G. Grinkovich assumes command effective 1 July 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. It is now my distinct honor to introduce the Commander, United States European Command, General Alexis G. Grinkovich.
Let me adjust the mic. Sehr geehrte Damen und Herren, liebe Freunde und Bekannte, guten Morgen. And good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here today. I'd particularly like to thank our German hosts, represented by Minister Strobel and the Lord Mayor of Sindelfingen, Dr. Foringer. I'd also like to thank the General Counsel Sabile from Croatia, Maison Nueve from France, and U.S. Deputy Principal Officer from the American Consulate, Ms. Jennifer Walsh, for attending today. Thanks as well to the AFRICOM Commander, General Langley, Ambassador Scott and Sergeant Major Wood, thanks for being here today. And General Gerhardt, great to have you here as well, coming down from Brunson to be with us. It's also great to see so many leaders and friends from the EUCOM tier, including General C.D. Donahue, Admiral Stu Munch, Lieutenant General Fulford and his wife Amy, the CSM, Holland and Annette, and of course all the other generals that are out there, acting commanders, great friends over the years that I've worked with. I'd also like to take a brief moment to thank the President and the Secretary of Defense for placing their trust and confidence in me to lead this command And thanks, of course, to General Dan Kane for officiating today. It's always special to have the chairman of the Joint Chiefs preside over an event like this, and it's even more special when he's a longtime friend. Thank you, sir. A ceremony like this, of course, doesn't happen without a ton of work, so I'd like to express my appreciation to all those involved putting this together, as well as the band, the honor guard, our singer of the national anthems, that was amazing, the chaplain, and of course all the protocol staff that's been herding around a lot of generals and admirals for the last couple of days. Finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't also thank the Cavolis. Chris and Christina have led this command with wisdom and grace, and Shannon and I could not have asked for better wingmen as we prepped for confirmation and transition. We wish you both all the best as you head into the next chapter, and we know it's going to be absolutely amazing. So thank you. It is the honor of a lifetime for Shannon and I to return to Europe. Whenever people ask us that question, and those of you in uniform get this question a lot, what was your favorite assignment? We always tell them it was our time here in Stuttgart. And ever since we left in 2012, we've been fighting with the Air Force personnel system to get back to Europe. Neither of us thought it would be quite like this. When we were here last time, we lived in Böblingen, and our son Justin, who's now a rising junior at New York University, was a rising kindergartner at Peterstaller Strasse Kindergarten, where he learned to speak German, or really Schwäbisch, a skill he's kept up much, much better than I have over the years. Since that time, we visited Germany and Europe often, usually to see our good friends Toby and Jana Brandt, who are out here somewhere in the audience. They were our neighbors in Böblingen, and their daughters, Aki and Kati, one of them, Aki, is here today, were Justin's best friends in kindergarten and remain so to this day. Each of our many visits reminded us of the richness of the people and cultures across Europe, and we're simply thrilled to be back. I also want to acknowledge my many friends and family who are here today. Our two moms are here, Linda and Connie. Both have been stalwart supporters and part of our fan club over the years. My sister Galen and her husband, Army Lieutenant Colonel Alex Meyer, we all make mistakes, and their son Cormac flew all the way up from South Africa, where Galen works for the Department of State and Alex serves as the Army attaché. Thank you guys for making the trip. A very long trip that ended even with a flat tire in a tunnel as they tried to get to their hotel. I've got some other good friends here as well. Dallas and Heather Horton, Moto and Becky Harris. Dallas and Moto were classmates of mine in what I now understand is widely understood to be the best class ever to graduate from any of the service academies. And as I recall, fellas, I don't think we lost to Army and Navy, either of them, for our 4 years that we were there. So proud to be 93. Also joining us are Mark and Jen Hendrickson, close friends from our many years in Washington, and then my high school classmate from Georgia Military College Prep School, Leah Landers, with her father that you heard about, Lieutenant Colonel retired Kurt Landers. Kurt Landers was our chief military instructor at GMC Prep. I had wanted him to do my commissioning out of the Air Force Academy. He couldn't make it for a variety of reasons. I told him this was his last shot to give me the oath of office, and he made it all the way over here. So, sir, honored that you made it. Thank you very much. Several of those I served with during my time at EUCOM are out here in the audience somewhere and made it as well. I was looking for faces as I was sitting here. I don't think I saw them all, so I might miss a couple. But when I got here, I quickly learned from them what they already knew, which was to be successful as an action officer and a crisis action planner in the J3, you really needed close teamwork with your J2 and J5 counterparts. So fellows like Matt Newmeyer, Bugsy Seagal, John Capello, Dave Harden are here representing a very esteemed group. Rear Admiral Mark Montgomery was a Deputy J5 here back then, and I learned from Mark much more about planning than I did from any other leader while serving on the staff. The J3 at that time period was Major General Punch Moulton. He had to cancel at the last minute and couldn't make it today, but I spent many hours in his office, starting usually late on a Friday afternoon when crises always erupt. And Punch taught me the ins and outs of joint warfighting at the strategic and operational levels, and those lessons have served me incredibly well over the years. In those days, we were mostly worried about Israel at this headquarters. We were in the midst of another attempt at a reset in relations with Russia. China never crossed our minds, and we would never have contemplated a role for Iranian weapons or North Korean soldiers on the European continent. Today, we have to think about all of these challenges and more. A protracted war rages in Europe for the first time in decades, and our operations in the Mediterranean are helping to contain conflict in the Middle East. More broadly, our adversaries are aligning, working together more than ever before as they seek to dominate their regions and even the globe. Thus, the good work done here at this headquarters and across the command is more important than ever. These are consequential times, demanding bold and innovative leadership at all echelons. The men and women of EUCOM deliver this every single day. And my pledge to you is that I will do everything in my power to do the same thing for you. None of us could do this without the support of our families and friends, whether it's parents back home, spouses or kids serving here with us. We all depend on a network of support to do what we do serving in uniform. The two most important people in my network are Shannon and Justin, and I'm so glad we're able to be here together today, particularly since the last few changes of commands have been downrange and could only be participated in via Zoom. And so from my family to yours, thank you. Thanks for what you do every single day in defense of America and our allies, and to all the families that allow us to do what we do. God bless each and every one of you, and may God bless America and her allies.
Thank you very much, General Grinkovich. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the Joint Service Medley and the departure of the official party. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony.